So now we'll switch over to Skoronski. And the big thing with Skoronski has been his arm length. Is this guy going to be a guard? Is this guy going to be a tackle? Where is he going to fit? But still a guy who's easily going to go within the top 15 picks, in my opinion, in this year's class.
I mean, I think Peter Skoronski has the most talent out of really any of these guys that we're going to talk about today, or at least potentially has the most talent out of all of these guys. And that question is going to hurt him a lot over these next 21 days as teams are finalizing their draft boards, and all the teams that need offensive linemen, they're looking at it like, do we want to take the risk on this guy? Because he is going to struggle against longer-armed edge rushers if he's at the tackle position. But when you look at his tape, he was very good in college at the position.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of mind-boggling when you're looking at it, and you're like, he played so well, you watch the tape, and everything's so good, but you're just looking at the numbers, and it just doesn't make sense for him to play the position that he has played so well at so far. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I agree with you. I think he's a top 15 pick. Potentially could still be top 10. I mean, there's definitely an avenue where you see him go in the top 10 because a team sees what we all see with him, and they don't care about the arm length. And they're like, we'll try him out at offensive tackle. Doesn't work out, move him inside. Or, we're just going to stick him inside, and he's going to be a starter right away. Mm-hmm. But he's got the potential to be a top 10 pick. Just depends on what the scouts and the general managers are seeing, and can they deal with the shorter arm length, and what are they going to do with it?
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me that Northwestern never tried him out anywhere else.
Yeah.
He only played left tackle through his 3 years at Northwestern. Didn't record a single snap. According to PFF at guard, left guard, right guard, anywhere. But so many people see him as a guard, which is so interesting to me. And the one thing with the arm length that I do want to talk about in terms of, we haven't really seen a player with this arm length come in and be good at tackle.
Yep.
Not too long ago, Rashawn Slater had, arm length 33-inch arms. Peter Skoronski has 32 and a quarter. Not too big of a difference between the two, and Rashawn Slater has already been a very solid offensive tackle who was drafted very highly in the NFL draft by the LA Chargers. So it's not a too far-fetched conclusion, but to me, in my opinion, I see Skoronski more as an interior offensive lineman who can play tackle, as opposed to a tackle who can play in the interior. Even though he never did it in college, I see him more. I'm agreeing with everyone else, but I see him more as an interior guy who also, if he needs to, can play tackle, kind of like an Elton Jenkins.
Yeah.
Where he's not. He didn't come in as a tackle. He came in as an interior, but can also play that position on the outside. And Dane Brugler said it best on the Athletic show that actually came out today on Friday, talking about the offensive lineman. He sees Peter Skoronski as an all-pro guard or a middle-of-the-road offensive tackle.
I mean, all-pro guard. There's one guy that comes to mind, and that's Zach Martin.
Yeah.
I mean, the exact same height, the exact same arm length, 2 pounds heavy. Zach Martin's 2 pounds heavier. I mean, they're almost the exact same player, and we've seen how Zach Martin's career turned out. One of the best offensive guards we've seen in decades.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes so much sense for him to try to play that offensive guard position because, yes, offensive tackle, it's more of a premier position in the NFL. Everybody wants to be the left tackle, guard the quarterback's blind side. That's what you want to do. But if you want to be successful and be one of the best offensive linemen we've seen over the past 2-3 decades, sometimes you got to move. Sometimes you got to do what is best for your career. And honestly, Peter Skoronski, he just seems like more of a guard to me. And like you said, he'll play tackle occasionally, move around, but I think his primary position does need to change to guard.
All right, so let's pull up some of this left tackle film now from Northwestern that we saw out of Skoronski and try to figure out maybe if some of these plays would fit, the mold better of what we want to see out of an offensive guard as well. So again, just not the best offense, but a lot of running and good run blocking out of Skoronski that I like to see. Especially once we get more toward our team fits later on. Some offenses that run the ball more, I like more as a fit for Skoronski and what they're trying to do with their offense because he's a really good run blocker, which pairs well to being a guard, translates well to potentially being a guard and still being a good interior run blocker in the middle of your offensive line as a guard as well.
I think he's got. That's the thing. I mean, his run blocking is extremely good. And we've seen that a lot, and I think that's going to be something that's also going to help him in the transition to the interior of the offensive line. And I think by going to a team that is more run-heavy is going to help him more. So we'll see if he can do that. But, I mean, his technique, very good.
Yeah.
Arguably the best in the class. So that's huge. He's got a very, very high floor, I think, and he's going to be a starter out the gate. Whatever team he goes to, I think he starts right away at whatever position they decide to go with. And I mean, he could be a Pro Bowler. He really could. If he goes into the right situation and he either plays tackle or moves to the guard position and adapts really well, I think he really could. He could be a Pro Bowler. He's got all the skill necessary. He's got the mentality to be able to play the position and make the switch if he needs to. He's a very good player.
Yeah, and so team fit wise, this was like what I was alluding to with a run kind of first offense. The Chicago Bears at 9.
Yeah,
that's what I had in my mock draft. That's what still right now with the upcoming 3.0, I still have it there and I haven't moved him because I think he fits really well into again I talked about they didn't do the best of job in free agency and bringing in offensive linemen. Brian Poles and his crew in Chicago. And I think a guy who can play tackle, who can play guard, it fits well with what they built up for in free agency to where Skoronski's on the board at 9. They could really consider, pulling the gun, pulling the trigger on the gun and taking him there and working well within that, kind of run first offense with Justin Fields and, seeing how that offense, elevates more as he figures out more and more of his game into next year.
There are 2 top 10 teams that I see him possibly going to. Bears are one, first, and the other one is Las Vegas Raiders. I think Las Vegas Raiders, if they don't go quarterback, I think it is very, very likely that they go offensive line. They've got a lot of holes on that offensive line. A lot of holes there. And with Josh Jacobs being there, they need someone to be able to step up. And versatile guy. I mean, a guy that can play multiple positions. So you can start him off at guard. If it doesn't work, move him to the tackle position. Start him off at tackle. It doesn't work, move him to the guard position. Whatever way you want to do it. But they've got a position for him, no matter what it is. So, personally, I don't think offensive line is the move for them. But if they decide to go offensive line, I think Peter Skoronski is the perfect pick for them.